Most e-commerce brands are guessing with their email marketing. They send an email, look at the revenue, and think that one did well or that one flopped. But they have no idea why they're not testing anything. And they're just not tracking anything either. They're just throwing things at the wall and hoping something sticks. And the brands that are testing, most of them are doing it wrong. They're testing button colors and font sizes, things that make almost zero difference, while completely ignoring the variables that could actually add tens of thousands of dollars in email program. Over the past few years, we've generated over $50 million in email revenue for hundreds of e-commerce brands. And one of the biggest advantages we have over other email agencies is our testing framework. Because when you test things right, in the right order, and actually track the results, your entire email strategy gets better every single month. It just compounds. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through the complete A/B testing framework for email marketing. From the fundamentals all the way through to the advanced tests that separate good brands from great ones. Whether you're just getting started with testing or you've been doing it for a while and just want to level up, this video has you covered. Let's get into it. Before we get into what to test, let's talk about how to test. Because the first thing most brands get wrong is the mindset and the framework around testing itself. There are 4 rules you need to follow every time you run a test. Break any of these and your results will be unreliable at best and completely misleading at worst. Rule number 1, always start with a hypothesis. A/B testing just for the sake of testing is just a waste of time. Before you change anything, and it really applies to other marketing channels as well, you need a clear reason and also a prediction. Like, our pop-up converts at 5%, I think like changing the offer from a 10% off to a free gift will convert better. That's a hypothesis. Let's try a different button color is just not, right? Rule number 2, test one variable at a time. This is the most common mistake. If you change the subject line and the email designs and the offer itself and performance improves, you have no idea what caused it. Just like a scientific experiment, test one variable at a time. Change one thing and measure the result. Then move on to the next variable. Rule number 3 is define your KPI before you start. You see, not every test is about revenue. Some tests could be about open rate, some others could be about sign-up form rate, etc., etc. For instance, if you're testing subject lines, then your KPI is open rates. If you're testing a pop-up offer, your KPI is both opt-in rate and leads conversion rate. So know what you're measuring before you hit send. Rule number 4 is wait for statistical significance. And this is the one that everyone ignores, right? You cannot call a winner after 48 hours and 200 data points. You need enough volume and time for the results to be statistically significant. Otherwise, you're just making decisions based on noise and not signal. So let the test run until the data is conclusive. And there's one more thing I want to add here. Track everything. Create a super simple Google sheet with tabs for pop-ups, campaigns, flows. Every test you run, write down the hypothesis, the variable, the KPI, and the result. Over time, this becomes your brand's playbook. It tells you exactly what works for your audience and saves you from repeating tests that you've already run. Now that you have the framework, let's talk about where to start testing. And the answer might surprise you because it's not your emails. It is your pop-up. The first and the highest leverage thing you should be testing right now is your pop-up. And I cannot stress this enough. Here's why. Your pop-up is the entry point to your entire email funnel. If it is converting at 4% instead of 7%, that's thousands of potential subscribers you're losing every month. And those are just not email addresses. Those are people who would have entered your welcome series, your abandoned checkout, who would have received your campaigns, and potentially become customers and repeat customers. A low converting pop-up doesn't just hurt your list growth. It chokes every flow and campaign that comes after it. So here's the priority order of what to test when it comes to your pop-up. And this order matters because it goes from highest impact to lowest impact. Test number 1 is the offer, of course. So the offer is by far the biggest driver of pop-up performance. This is where you'll see the most dramatic differences. Test percentage off versus flat dollar off. test a discount versus a free gift with first purchase, test a specific discount versus a mystery discount, test free shipping. These are all meaningfully different offers that attract different types of buyers. And remember what I always say about this: don't just track the opt-in rate, track the lead to conversion rate too. Because some offers like the mystery discount and giveaways can spike signups but attract low intent leads that never buy. You want the offer that maximizes both sign-up rates and also buyers. Test number 2 is the triggers. After the offer, test when and how the pop-up appears. These tend to have a bigger impact than most brands realize. And keep in mind that the biggest difference comes from testing the extremes, right? For example, showing the pop-up immediately versus showing it 8 seconds or 12 seconds later will tell you way more than testing, 8 seconds versus 12 seconds trigger. The test number 3 is the design. So once you have a pretty strong offer and trigger that tends to perform really well, you can potentially start testing some visual elements. Lifestyle photos versus product in use photos, pop-up sizing, formatting. These tend to have a smaller impact than offers and triggers, but they can still move the needle. Test number 4 is copy. So copy is last here because when it comes to pop-ups, we've realized that simplicity wins. The pop-up's job is to communicate the offer clearly. You're just not writing a sales page here. You can potentially test the CTA copy, like get my discount versus reveal my offer, or how you phrase the offer, but just keep your expectations realistic. Copy tweaks on pop-ups rarely produce huge swings. Let me quickly show you how you can set this up inside your Klaviyo account. All right, so let's say this is your pop-up right here. Obviously, if you're just A/B testing the whatever it is, you can click here and just start your A/B test. I just want to go through like A/B testing copy or A/B testing the triggers. It's pretty simple. You just do it here directly, right? However, when you're A/B testing the offer, besides clicking here and creating the A/B test and just changing the copy on the pop-up itself, right? You need to have a conditional split inside your welcome series, where I'm gonna walk you through how to do it right now, but that way you know exactly who got this offer and who got this one, right? So in order to do that, before just setting up the entire, just running the A/B test, when you're creating it, let's say for example, this is your first, you're testing this 10% off. Here you click on the submission button, and then you need to tag people who went through this pop-up right here with the corresponding offer. So in this case, I'm gonna click here, edit property, and then I'm gonna call it offer, create offer, and then I'm gonna call it 10% 10 off, right? This is gonna be a profit property so that when someone signs up through this pop-up right here with the 10% offer, they get tagged with this property right here. And so the reason why I did that is because when you're on your welcome series here, you create a conditional split where the offer so essentially for the property here would be offer and then the 10 off. And then if someone got that specific property, they will receive this part of the welcome series with the offer. Because of course, the welcome series conveys the offer that was promised on the pop-up, right? So if they got the 10% off offer, they will receive this one here. If not, they will receive the other one, whatever it is you wanna A/B test against this 10% off. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, so now your pop-up is being tested and optimized. Now it's time to move into the emails themselves. And the place to start, it's not your campaigns, it's actually your flows. And the reason why they come before the campaigns in the testing priority cycle is very simple. When you improve a flow, that improvement applies to every single person who enters it going forward. It is a permanent upgrade, whereas a campaign test only affects the people who received that one send. So for example, a winning subject line on the first email of the welcome series is not a one-time win. It is a win that compounds across every new subscriber for months and years to come. Now, you don't need to test every single flow. Focus your energy on your highest impact ones. These are the flows with the most volume and the most revenue. First one is, of course, the welcome series. This is usually your highest revenue flow. And one of the most impactful and very simple tests you can run for your welcome series is the subject lines on email number 1. Because the email number 1 generates the vast majority of the welcome flow revenue. So here you can A/B test direct versus curiosity-driven subject lines. You can test including the discount on your subject line or not. You can test short versus long. These are very simple to set up and the results can be significant. And beyond the subject line, you can also test the format itself. Does a clean text-heavy email with just the discount code outperform a fully beautiful graphic-based email? With product images and brand storytelling, you have to test it as well. Because for a lot of brands, the text heavy with just discount code outperforms the other types of emails just because it's very clear and simple. Now, the second flow is the abandoned checkout flow. This is typically your second highest revenue flow. The key tests here are the subject lines on email number 1 and potentially email number 2 as well, and the timing of your discount introduction. Most brands offer discounts too early, so you can test holding off on discount until email number 3 versus introducing it on email number 2, for example. You'd be surprised how many people convert from a simple reminder without any discount whatsoever. And that's pure margin saved. Now the next one, which is a bit more complex, is the post-purchase sequence. So the biggest tests here are, for example, your upsell, cross-sell emails, like different product recommendations, different offer structures, different timing as well. Because the post-purchase tends to be a bit more complex for every single brand we work with. The A/B tests here need to be run on high impact emails, right? Like for example, again, upsell, cross-sell, a subscription push. I mean, there are many things you can A/B test here. And I've already alluded to this before in this video, but here's a test most people never think about, but it's one of my favorites. And that's just subject lines across all high impact flows. This is the easiest low effort A/B test you can run right now. And to be honest, it can make a massive difference, especially if you have a lot of volume. So go into your welcome series, your abandoned checkout, and your post-purchase sequence, and set up just a simple A/B test of your subject lines on those first few emails. Takes 10 minutes. So there's no excuse not to have these running all the time. Now, if you'd rather have a team of experts handle all of these testing and optimization for you, that's exactly what we do. We've helped hundreds of e-commerce brands implement A/B testing frameworks that actually move the needle. If you want to see how we can do the same for your brand, book a call using the link below. Alright, so you're testing your pop-ups and your flows. Now let's talk about the third area, and this is where most brands actually start, even though in my opinion, it should come last. So that's campaign level A/B testing. Now, I said campaign A/B testing come last in the priority order, and that's true from an impact perspective. Flow improvements are permanent. Campaign improvements only affect that single send. But campaigns are where you get to test constantly, because you're sending them multiple times a week. So while each individual test has less long-term impact, the volume of learning you get from your campaigns is massive. And those learnings can potentially feed back into your flows. So let me walk you through the campaign test that actually matter. So the test number 1 is graphic-based versus text-based emails. This is one of my favorite tests to run, and the results shock a lot of brands. Most brands assume that a beautifully designed graphic-heavy email will always outperform a plain text email. But that's often not the case at all. Text-based emails are of course easier to produce, they tend to have better deliverability because they're lighter, and they tend to feel more genuine and personal. Especially during promotions, a plain text email coming from the founder can outperform a design campaign. Run this test, you might be surprised. Test number 2 is email modules and formatting. So every single email, if you think about it, is made up of modules, individual content blocks stacked together. Social proof sections, guarantees, body copy, infographic sections, dynamic product blocks, etc., etc., etc. Here you can A/B test which modules tend to produce more clicks and more revenue for your campaigns. Thus, an email with some testimonials outperform an email with a product comparison table. This adding a guarantee section increases conversions. But remember here to test one variable at a time. Swap one module and keep the rest the same, and just measure the difference. Test number 3 is the sending day and time. This one is pretty straightforward, but it's extremely important. Your goal here is to maximize revenue and just open rates as well. So you can test mornings versus afternoons, weekdays versus weekends, Monday sends versus Thursday sends, Because for your regular campaigns, not your promos, of course, there's real value in finding your audience's sweet spot. And the reason why I say not for promos, because of course for a promo email, they need to go at a specific certain time and day, right? Now, test number 4 is testing subject lines. You could easily A/B test your subject lines on every single campaign you send. It's very easy to run, like it takes 30 seconds, and subject lines have a direct impact, obviously, on open rates, which tends to affect everything downstream. So you can test short versus long, emoji versus no emoji, curiosity driven versus direct, question based versus statement based. Over time, you'll build a clear picture of what your specific audience responds to. Now, all of this testing is great, but there's one thing that separates brands that test occasionally from brands who build a real competitive advantage with testing. And that's the last thing I want to cover. A testing system that compounds over time. Because the power of A/B testing is not any single test. It's the accumulation of dozens of small wins that stack on top of each other month after month. Here's what I mean. In month 1, you find a pop-up offer that increases your sign-up rates by 15%. In month 2, you find a subject line on the first email of your welcome series that increases open rates by 10%. In month 3, you find that text-based campaigns outperform graphic-based emails for promo reminders. And in month 4, you optimize your button checkout timing, and then you'll be able to recover 10% more abandoned carts. Each of those individually is a nice win, but stacked together over 6 to 12 months, your entire email channel is performing at a completely different level than where it started. That's the compound effect of systematic testing. Something I want to mention as well here, which is extremely important, is that when you find something that works in email, it usually works elsewhere too. If your testing reveals that your audience responds strongly to social proof, that insight of course applies to your ads, your landing pages, and just your website in general. If you discover that urgency-driven subject lines outperform curiosity-driven ones, that could tell your ads team something about your audience's psychology. So having a testing framework or spreadsheet for your email marketing isn't just for email marketing. It's a customer insight engine. And one final thing, because I see this all the time, don't waste time testing low leverage things. I see brands spending weeks testing whether a 4-day delay versus a 5-day delay on the third email of the customer win-back flow is going to make a difference. It just doesn't. The difference is so marginal that it's going to take months, potentially even years, to reach its statistical significance. And even then, the impact in revenue will be negligible. So spend that time testing something that actually matters. And that's the complete A/B testing strategy for email marketing. Let me leave you with this. The brands that consistently improve their email program are not the brands with the best designers or the most clever copywriters. They're the ones who test relentlessly, track everything, and let the data tell them what works. So start with your pop-up to get the offer right, then move into your flows, then use your campaigns as an ongoing testing lab. And please document everything so that the wins compound. If you do this consistently for 6 months, your email performance guaranteed will look completely different than it does today. Now, if you want to see how to actually structure the flows we talked about in this video, I made a full video breaking down the complete flow infrastructure every e-commerce brand needs. Watching next, I'll see you there.